Mortgage repayment fears. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Heiser Says. And I want to talk about an article from news.com about someone's mortgage repayments rising by $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month. Now obviously this is a clickbait title playing on the fears and concerns of people. I remember though when I was a kid, I was talking to my father and he told me a story of when I think everyone in the public service got a pay rise, and then all of a sudden everything got more expensive. And then about how in the 80s, how people started just defaulting on their loans. Mortgages were going up and up and up. Repayments, because the interest rates were going so high. Now we're not seeing that here. We're not seeing any of that here. We're seeing people who have interest-only loans now being required to pay the capital of their loans. So I don't feel sorry for them at all, to be quite frank. And I think this is just clickbait news. But still, we should read about it. Because, let me know in the comments. Guys, am I overreacting? Could there be any investor out there that doesn't plan for this? Or is the issue that the banks are wanting to minimize their risk, or unable to have these many loans and just suddenly pull the pin on the people, going, okay, now you've got to repay? What could it be? I think it's the latter. So, getting hit with a home loan interest rate rise feels like being slapped in the face by an octopus. It's a very visual picture. I suspect he used that title or that analogy because it was the only royalty-free image he could get. Maybe. It costs an average borrower just $40 a month for every Reserve Bank rate rise of 0.25 percentage points. But what if your extra cost is $1,000 or more? Does the octopus in the face then feel like a giant squid or even a kraken, a massive mythical sea monster beloved by nobody? I don't know. I think a few people love the kraken in a lot of games. It's the goal is to fight the kraken. And all these pirate games that came out that were horrible. I've just been hit by such a rise, and mortgage borrowers across the nation are about to feel similar financial pain. Well, no. I'd say investors who are investing in interest-only loans or using interest-only repayment methods are going to feel it. And, mate, you should have planned for it. Come on. Seriously. To be precise, repayments on my investment property loan have climbed from $1,494 a month to $2,500 a month. A delightful 1,055 increase. Yes, but you're now actually paying off the capital. You're now paying off the capital. You're not allowed to... That money that you should be paying to get rid of your loan, your debt, is now... You can't spend it on, avocado and toasts anymore? It's all thanks to the loan coming off its interest-only period and switching to more expensive principal and interest payments. I don't know how it's framed as being more expensive. I guess it is more expensive, but you're paying down a debt. It's different to, I guess, I don't know. It's paying down a debt. Is that technically an expense? Yes, it probably is. You're paying it over time. I don't know. It sits wrong with me. It sits wrong with my accounting analysis of the situation. You're investing in something. By paying down that debt, you're getting more ownership of an asset, whereas the expense is the interest that you have to pay to borrow that money to be able to buy that asset. That's where it is. You're getting capital. You're getting capital with that principal payment. That's why I'm not liking it. And also because the entire balance now must be repaid over 20 years rather than the original 30. Okay, so that's interesting. So I'd like to see a bit more if the bank actually just pushed that on him and required it. Maybe it was a change in risk. Maybe the person got older and couldn't pay it off in time. I'm not alone. The Reserve Bank last year estimated that 2/3 of interest-only investment loans will expire by 2020. Okay, so let's just think about that. I know this is a bit of a clickbaity title, but if 2/3 of interest-only loans hit the market by 2020, if they hit the market saying, okay, you've got to buy, you've got to sell, or you've got to pay and double your repayments, that's going to be a flood of properties onto the market where people may be desperate to sell. And we also have a decline in the overall economy. You've got Labor coming in with their whole negative gearing debacle. You've got them wanting to push us out of certain industries and just really, really take a sledgehammer to our export economy. So I can't imagine this is going to help the housing bust at all. I think it's just going to add more fuel to the housing crash. What do you think? What do you all think, guys? It says interest-only loans have been popular with investors because of tax benefits and also have grown strongly among owner-occupiers. I always thought it was just I thought it was mainly for tax benefits, but it was done for owner-occupiers, just checking to make sure I'm recording, was done for owner-occupiers maybe as an emergency method that they needed. So let's compare interest rates. Compare home loan interest rates below, powered by Rate City. Let's have a look. Okay. Advertised rate, comparison rate. So, this is advertising. I'm just interested anyway to see how because you know what you do, guys. If you have a home loan, and I encourage you all to do this, regardless. If you're watching this and you've got a home loan, get on the phone, ring them up, and say you want a better rate. Spend an hour on the phone and say, well, look, I watched a YouTube video and there was a rate there for 3.84%. Don't tell them where it is. Don't tell them where you saw it. Just say, I saw it online. I'll look it up and find it and try and get a discount. Let me know in the comments if you do that and you manage to get it, because you'd be surprised how often that can work, just asking. Every time you're on the phone to the gas company, the power company, anyone, and they say, is there anything else I can do for you? Just say, yes, I'd like a discount. Can you give me a discount? Can't hurt to try, can it? But tight lending conditions now mean many borrowers will not be able to extend their interest-only period or refinance their loan. Well, yes, so this is not to do with interest rate increases. This is to do with a tightening of borrowing conditions and the banks wanting to reduce their risk. Falling house prices in a majority of capital cities, but fortunately not Adelaide, not yet, remember Adelaide's always a bit delayed, have made the equation even trickier for borrowers. If you're facing an octopus in the face or worse from an expiring interest-only loan, here are a few things to think about. Prepare as soon as possible. Well, okay, that's not really that surprising anyway. Even if it's a year or two away, work out now what the extra cost is likely to be and try to build a buffer in the loan or other loans to help handle the upcoming rise. Now, when you have applied for your loan, they should have taken account of, I think it's meant to be a 7% interest rate at principal and interest repayments. You should be able to handle that with your income, unless you lied or unless the mortgage broker lied. I think that's the problem we're starting to see, that a lot of the brokers may have lied, or a lot of people lied, or a lot of people didn't realize. I still think of that couple up at Maryborough who I think invested millions into a unit complex, and then the mining construction sector up there went under, and all of a sudden they've got these properties worth nothing and they're blaming the banks. Refinance. If you can, consider refinancing with your existing lender or another lender, but don't bank on this working, because borrowers now have to jump through higher and smaller hoops when it comes to income assessment for loan repayments. Well, yes, that's good advice to anyone. If you can refinance, get discounts, consolidate all your debt, get rid of the credit cards, cut them up, throw them out, live off cash. Maximize tax deductions. Property investors should make sure they are getting every tax deduction they can. That should just be a rule of life for everyone. Every dollar you keep out of the hand of government is more efficiently used in the economy. Just think about that. Every dollar you give to them, they use less efficiently than if you just keep that money flowing through people's hands, flowing through the economy, creating employment and jobs. Much more efficient than the government ever can. There's a bit of my bias in that statement, but I don't think anyone will be surprised. Most existing investors are still able to claim for depreciation in their property, even though the door was shut for new investors last year. Great, another opportunity lost. The Australian Taxation Office publishes annual rental property guides that can easily be downloaded online and contain a wealth of tax information. Or if you prefer, speak to an accountant or tax agent. Okay? I've already read these three things. The copy-paste issue. Find savings elsewhere. Maybe it's time to do some serious budgeting. Going through recent bank statements will uncover financial waste for most people, and there are plenty of free budgeting tools available online. It may not save $250 a week, but it's a start. Well, yeah, that's actually some really good advice. You'd be amazed at how many of these $10 a week here, $10 a month there, little things like Netflix, like your LinkedIn. I went through a whole purge of getting rid of everything I can and just reducing all the costs we could, even down to our software that we were using. We were renting Rivet for our architectural practice. Every year we'd have to pay thousands of dollars. And I just said, no, I've had enough. I'm sticking with this version because we've never found that we've needed to have the latest up-to-date version. And in a few years' time, if I happen to need a more advanced one for a job, I'll just rent it. It's that simple. And even I think I had a LinkedIn, one of the ancient LinkedIn professional memberships, I think for $12 a month that I just kept because you couldn't get any more. But I don't know. For networking, I haven't found LinkedIn that useful for at least a couple of years. It's all just people trying to sell me their Chinese import products half the time. And his fifth point is rather obviously, sell if necessary. If a repayment blowout is impossible to cover, consider cutting your losses and selling. It's pointless letting huge loan repayments push you deeper and deeper into debt, potentially threatening your other assets. Well, yeah, this is obvious advice. So, what does everyone think? Do you think this is a bit of, clickbait? Or do you think that the takeaway I get from this is the fact that by 2020, you're going to have a lot of these interest-only loans expiring, and they're going to have an influence on the housing crash we're currently going through and is starting. So we've seen in previous videos I've looked at, it's trending down. And maybe this is our version of the subprime mortgage market, just people, frankly, borrowing more than they can afford to repay because they're getting a special deal here, not paying the principal back, just paying the interest, and it'll sting them. Let me know what you all think in the comments, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. Ding the bell to see my daily updates, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye for now.